Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to talk about something it's going to affect pretty much every family out there. How do you make sure that what you leave behind for your loved ones is a source of security and not a source of stress? Because, and this is the key, just leaving behind a pile of money, that's not even half the battle.
Okay, so let's jump right in with this idea of two legacies, two completely different paths. On one hand, you've got families like the Rockefellers. Their wealth has been protected for more than 100 years. How? Through some really smart, careful planning. But then you've got the other side of the coin, the story we hear way too often. Families battling it out in court for years, sometimes decades, while the money they were supposed to inherit just gets eaten up by legal fees. So what's the one thing that separates these two outcomes? It all comes down to a plan.
And that really gets to the heart of what our source material is saying. It's this simple but honestly super powerful idea. Wealth without structure just doesn't last. It's not about how much money you have. Not really. It's about the framework, the plan you build around that money.
Okay, so what do we even mean when we say structure? Why is it so important? Well, to get it, we first have to understand the problem with just leaving money behind and how even the best intentions can go completely sideways. So here's the first piece of the puzzle. A lot of people think, hey, I've got life insurance, I'm all set. And look, insurance is great at its one job, making sure there's a chunk of money available when you pass on. But that's where its job stops. It's like handing someone a car with a full tank of gas, but no map, no keys, and no driving lessons. And this is where things get really messy. That money, that big check that was supposed to help, can actually become a huge source of conflict if there are no clear instructions. Think about it. A lump sum of cash just lands in the family's lap with no rule book. That creates confusion, right? And that confusion, it quickly turns into arguments, resentment, and some really tough times. It can literally tear apart the very relationships you were trying to protect. And look, this isn't just theory we're talking about. These are real, devastating stories. Our source points to examples from Kenya, where families have been locked in court battles for 10, even 20 years. We're talking about kids getting kicked out of school because their tuition money is tied up in a frozen bank account. Properties, family homes, being sold off for pennies on the dollar just to pay the lawyers. And spouses, partners, left completely struggling to get by. The real tragedy here? The money was there. It existed. What was missing was the structure. And believe me, the emotional cost of that kind of chaos is often way, way worse than the financial loss. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's pretty heavy stuff. But the good news is there's a really powerful solution. It's all about combining two specific tools to build a lasting legacy. First up, we have whole life insurance. Its job is super straightforward. It guarantees that a specific amount of money will be there, ready to go, when it's needed the most. You can think of this as the what. It's the actual cash, the funds. And the second tool, that's the trust fund. And this, my friends, is where the magic happens. This provides that all-important structure. If insurance is the what, the trust is the how. It's basically a legal rule book that you write for your money. It holds the assets and has legally binding instructions for how, when, and why that money gets used. So how do these two things really work together to create clarity? Well, think of it like this. The insurance policy, that's the fuel for the journey. But the trust fund, that's the engine, the steering wheel, and the GPS all rolled into one. Together, they make sure the journey goes exactly where you planned, especially when things are tough and clear guidance is needed more than ever. What's so brilliant about this combination is that it answers the three biggest, most critical questions that always cause fights. First, who gets the money? Bam, the trust names the specific people, no question. Second, when do they get it? You can set the rules, maybe when they turn 25 or when they graduate college. And third, what should the money be used for? You can get specific, earmark it for education, a down payment on a house, medical bills, whatever you decide. It takes all the guesswork and ambiguity right out of the equation. And this all leads us to the final and I think most important point. This isn't just about riches, it's about responsibility. It's about your legacy of clarity. So, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this is great for the Rockefellers or, billionaires like Warren Buffett, but is this really for me? It's a totally fair question. It's easy to look at those huge names and think this kind of planning is out of reach, but that's not the point our source is making at all. Actually, according to the source material, this is essential planning for a lot more people than you'd think. Do you have children? Do you own property? Have you started a business? Is there anyone at all, who depends on you financially? If you answered yes to any of those, then this isn't some luxury. It's an act of responsibility. It's about protecting the people you love. Because in the end, the greatest gift you can possibly leave behind isn't just a check. It's clarity, it's peace of mind, it's a clear set of instructions. The real goal here isn't just to pass on your wealth, it's to pass on stability, to make sure your final gift isn't a puzzle they have to solve, but a solid foundation they can build their future on. And that's a legacy worth building.